Hi guys, welcome back.
It's good to see you again.
In case you're new here, I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Aaron.
And we're Avery Street Design Studio. Today we're going to be doing part 2 of Halloween/fall decor. We had so much fun doing it last week and so many great ideas we couldn't fit it all into one video.
Yeah, we have a lot more we could show, but we can't do a Halloween episode every time, so we've got it all packaged into a second part.
And in case you noticed, we have a different background behind us. We're in our dining room. These shelves back here are some shelves that Aaron made for me for my salt and pepper shaker collection. I love collecting them. And the clock behind us is a clock that this is what we do, what we make in our full-time business.
Yep.
So anyways, it's good to have you back, and let's get started on our first project.
Yep. So we got a lot of projects to glue up. We've got a couple moon faces and a witch hat and a cheese board and some other stuff. We're still using pallet wood, but you can see how clean it looks. That's only because I ran it through our joiner and our planer and cleaned it up. If you don't have those things, it doesn't matter. You can get a straight edge on your table saw. You can get a smooth finish by sanding. It just may take a long time, but you can still get that kind of a finish on your wood. So let's get started doing that. We've got a bunch of stuff to do.
So if you have a lot of projects that you know you need to glue up, it's best to glue them up in advance and try to make a list of all of them, gather them all together, glue them all up at the same time. That way you can just move on to the next step of cutting everything out, and then you're not waiting for more stuff to dry. Oh, also, you guys, hang around till the end so you can see all the finished products.
Yeah, you're not going to want to miss it. If you have a planer and a joiner, they really do come in handy with this pallet wood. You can take old nasty wood and run it through these machines and make it look brand new. It saves a ton of money having to buy wood. If you do have a planer and a joiner, and if you do decide to use pallet wood, always make sure to check your wood real well to make sure there's no nails or staples in it, because those things will trash a blade in a second.
So this is going to be a jack-o'-lantern that's going to be wearing a witch's hat. I've already sketched it out in pencil just to save time, and I'll now sketch it out with the marker for that way we can cut it. And we're going to cut these boards before we put it together. That way it's just easier to maneuver and cut that way. We found that works best. All right, now we'll just cut it out and then nail it together. You guys, using a scroll saw is so much fun. I mean, it takes a little bit of practice. At first, you might, not be able to cut it exactly the way you want. I've done that plenty of times. But just take your time, go really slow, and before you know it, you'll be cutting it out perfect, and it'll look great every time.
On this piece, we decided not to glue it together. We cut it out in 3 separate pieces on the scroll saw, and I'm just going to put it together with pieces of wood across the back. You want to make sure to get all your boards lined up so it fits together the way you want it to.
So on this one, we're doing the ghost. We're just putting the backs on it and putting all the boards together. We decided to go ahead and put it together before we cut out the wood. Since we're using the jigsaw, it can be, a bigger thing like that to cut out. Only like small things are better on the scroll saw, but this one will be good with the jigsaw. So now that we've attached our boards all together, we're going to draw out the shape of the ghost. And there you go. Now it's ready to cut out.
When you're cutting out a piece like this, especially a long one, you want to be real careful to not put your fingers under the blade or get your cord anywhere near the blade because you can't always see what's underneath your board. Just take your time and go slow. Usually when you go too fast, that's when things turn bad with a jigsaw. So just take your time, be patient, and you'll do fine. Okay, so now I'm drawing the tombstone shape.
I have done a straight edge across here and marked 2 inches in on each side, and then I hand sketched a round part and then another round part at the top. So now I'll do it with Sharpie so you can see. And then we'll just cut that out and then we'll build the tombstone. So if you guys will notice, in the beginning, the shape of the top of the tombstone was a little bit different. When we went to cut it out, a couple of the corners fell off, so it didn't work out, so we ended up rounding it off. So, you know, just always remember, in the wise words of Bob Ross, there are no mistakes, just happy accidents.
So we've drawn out the edges of the tombstone on the base part, and we're just gonna put some trim up to the lines and then slide it down in there so it has a place to stand up. It was kind of awkward trying to get this little piece of trim stapled when I couldn't see it. It took a little bit of doing, but we finally got it put together. I found it easiest just to put the one piece of trim on and then lay it on the tombstone itself. That way it has a way to hang on and you can staple it from there. After you get the front piece of trim and the back piece of trim on, all you got to do is put these little tiny pieces on the sides and you have a finished tombstone. So this method of cutting a circle out is probably the most controversial thing I've ever been a part of. I made a video a little over a year and a half ago of how to do this method and how to make this jig I'm using right here. I'll put the link to that video in the description so you guys can check it out. But if you're familiar with a table saw, it's perfectly safe to do. You find the center point of your piece, you put it on the jig, and you spin it clockwise into the blade. You don't ever turn it backwards, and you don't ever let go of the piece. You follow those rules, and this is a perfectly safe way to cut a circle. If you're not familiar with a table saw, you can always use a bandsaw, you can always use a router, you can always use a jigsaw. There's multiple ways to cut a circle, but this is my preferred method, and it works just fine for me.
So we're going to be making a witch's hat. This will be the base. We're going to sketch out the top of the hat so that we can cut it out. Okay. So I've already sketched it out in pencil, but I'm going to go over it now in marker. Get it lined up. All right, now it's ready to cut out.
We're going to cut the top of the witch's hat out on the bandsaw because it makes good straight lines and there's no curves to cut out on this. And then we'll take the brim of the witch hat over here to the miter saw and just cut all the corners off real quick. So now we're going to drill holes for the top of the hat to sit on the brim of the hat. I'm going to glue the top to the base first and let it kind of set up, then we'll screw it in.
All right, guys, so on this one, we're gonna do a bat. It's gonna kind of have some 3D elements to it. So I've sketched it out in pencil, and I'm gonna sketch it out with the Sharpie so that it will be easier to cut out and you guys can see the shape. I know the pencil just doesn't show up on camera. And we'll just cut it out on the scroll saw since it's kind of curvy. And I don't know if you can see the lines, but I had to sketch and then erase with my pencil and redo it till I got it even. I'm sure there might be an easier way to do it. This is just how I do it. If you have any easier ways of doing it, then you should definitely do it that way. I usually just sketch things freehand and then see how they turn out, but there might be an easier way of measuring and using your ruler. So this is going to be the face. Well, if I can stay in the lines. And then it's going to have some bat ears. Because bats have pretty pronounced ears. And that's it. Now we'll just cut it out. So on this one, we put the whole bat together before we cut it out. And we drew on the face and the ears on little blank spots of wood. So I'll cut it all out. Sometimes it's best to trim off your edges before you start cutting the shape. That way it's just not as difficult. And just take your time and go slow and it'll turn out okay. And if you make any mistakes, just go back and trim them up and make it look good.
We glued the head and the ears to the body. Now we're just going to flip it over and put a couple staples in it. There it is.
All right, so now I am going to draw out the Coffin Cheeseboard. So I'm just going to take my ruler and make straight edges. Try to anyways. And you can shape your coffin however you want to shape it. I'm just doing the standard coffin shape. You can't have a Halloween party without a coffin-shaped serving tray, so that's why we are making this. All right, and then we'll just cut it out. And of course, we'll fill any holes and sand it and then stain it.
So this is another piece that has just straight lines. So we're going to cut it out on the bandsaw again. I love using the bandsaw when there's no curves to cut out, but if there are curves, it can be a real pain. So these are knobs, handles that already have a pre-drilled screw. I'm going to take a screw of my own and screw it into the back of the cheese board and then cut it off and screw it down over that end. Just like that. There it is.
Okay, now I'm gonna sketch out my pumpkin cheese board. I've already sketched it with pencil, so I'm gonna go over it with marker so you guys can see, because I noticed on the last video you couldn't see the pencil at all. So, and it doesn't have to be perfect shaped, you know, you can always shape it up while you're sanding it if, you know, it's a little wonky, because it's really hard to get stuff the perfect shape just freehand sketching like this. And when your marker gets caught on the wood, that doesn't help either. And then we'll just cut it out and we'll have a pumpkin cheese board to go alongside our coffin cheese board. That's it. Now when you're cutting out a shape like this, just take your time and go slow. It's easy to get off the line you have drawn on to cut. I actually did while cutting this, but that's where your sander comes in. It becomes your best friend because you can clean up all those little mistakes you make and make it nice and round in the end.
So we got everything built and sanded and put together, and now we're going to start finishing all this stuff. We just do it all at one time because it's easier than making a mess multiple times. So that's where we're at now. We're going to start with all the black stuff, the coffin and the bat and the hat, and then we'll move to the white. I'm just going to use the cheap spray paint. Whenever you're spray painting stuff that has lots of curves and edges, it's always best to do those parts first, the edges and the curves, and then do your flat last. That way you don't get a bunch of overspray all over it, and you get a nice even finish. Now we're going to do the bat. So we're going to tape off the bottom part of the pumpkin so we can paint the black hat. Don't have any black craft paint, so we're just going to spray paint it black. So on the Tombstone, we're going to use gray. This is one of the colors we use for our clocks, and it's something we just had on hand. So feel free to use whatever color you want. Now we're going to stain the pumpkin cheese board. We're going to use English chestnut. It's kind of orangey colored, so that's where we're headed.
Okay, so now we're going to paint on the orange of the jack-o'-lantern. Going to take it and carefully paint against the black. I'm just using regular craft paint for this. Some I got at Hobby Lobby for 49 cents.
So all these black pieces we're going to distress a little bit. Mostly the edge is not real heavy stuff, but yeah.
When distressing stuff, just do it to however it makes you happy. Heavy distress, light distress. And always remember, if you take too much off, you can always go back and paint it again. So don't be afraid to experiment with different distressing amounts. So just do it till you're happy.
So we've got all the finished products, and with the assistance of Rupert, we're going to show you all these and the prices that we think they should be
sold for.
Yep.
Yep.
The first one is the giant ghost, which could go with the mummy we did last time. He's 65, and these are all reclaimed wood, pallet wood stuff, so we didn't have any money in this.
We didn't have to buy anything. We already had paint, everything. So all of this was zero cost for us. Now, it might be a little more cost for you guys. And also if you choose to use new wood, if you have to buy paint, also your time. We factor in our time and all that when we're pricing stuff to sell. So.
And some people don't like using pallet wood. It's too big of a hassle for them. So don't use it if you don't like it. We just have an abundance of it near our shop, and I enjoy working with it, so that's why we use it.
And for things like this, you know, with the price of wood right now, it really doesn't take that long to break down a pallet and throw stuff together. So you guys do it however you want. And, you know, don't get discouraged on any of these projects. You can do all of it.
You sure can.
And the best thing to do always is just try. And if you're unsure about a finish or a stain or anything like that, just try it.
Yeah,
and
worst thing, you know, worst comes to worst, you can start over.
Yeah, and if you're using pallet wood, just practice on that, you know, and it doesn't cost you anything, and you'll feel more confident when you're ready to do your actual piece.
Right.
And then the next thing we have is a tombstone that says, "Welcome, we've been dying to see you."
Yep. That one's $50.
$50. And, you know, we built it and painted it gray, which you guys saw on camera. And then I just stenciled on the words. And then we took some black paint, very lightly sponged it around, and then we glazed it to give it kind of a old look. So I think it turned out really cute.
It's nice. And then we have the Coffin Cheeseboard with the feet on it. We didn't paint the bottom side because it's just for prop.
Yeah.
That one goes for $40. You can use different feet if you want. We had these hanging around the shop, so they were free.
And I don't know about you guys, but I love having a Halloween party every year. I always have all my kids and grandkids over, and we snack and eat. So those kind of things will be great to put like cheese and chips and stuff like that on them. Yep. They'll really like that.
And then we have...
Let's do the pumpkin cheese.
Pumpkin.
The pumpkin-shaped cheese board, which is also really cute, and I will also use it at Halloween, but I will probably also use this at Thanksgiving. Right. Because it goes with either one, Halloween or fall. And that one is $40.
And the moon faces.
And then I love retro Halloween decorations. It reminds me of when I was a kid. And I saw these moon faces, vintage moon faces, and just thought they were adorable.
Very cool.
We have included a link to the PDF file of the moon face, so you can print it out. You can trace it with some tracing paper, carbon paper, or you can do it on your Cricut, however you want. The file you'll have the link to the file.
I'll put that in the description of the video.
Yeah, and it was super easy and a lot of fun, and I love these guys. They're
these would be $20 each, or more, however you want to price them. That's what we think is fair. And then the bat.
And we made this super cute little kind of 3D bat. His face is raised, and then he has two little ears. You guys saw us cutting this out on the scroll saw, and I think it turned out really cute.
$20 on him.
Yeah.
And then the witch hat.
Yep. This one was also a lot of fun to make. I saw these hats on Pinterest and gave me the idea, and I think it turned out really cute. I just put a little bit of jute around the base of it to dress it up. You could also do like Halloween ribbon or whatever you want to put on there would be really cute.
Yep. And then the last one is the jack-o'-lantern.
This is another vintage Halloween decoration. When I was a kid, they used to have, things cut out so you could hang on the wall, and they kind of looked like this. So I painted him to look like this. Of course, you can paint him whatever color, however you want. But
Yep.
I had a lot of fun doing this one.
He would be 40.
Yeah, just because of the extra detail and painting, you know, it took a little bit longer. But like I said, just give it a shot, try it, and, you know, see what happens. I'm going to be doing some videos. I've had a lot of people requesting the finishing and the stenciling. So I'm going to start doing a little bit of videos, going over stenciling, going over different finishing techniques, different ways you can do, like lettering on signs or on things like this.
Yep.
You know, you don't have to use stencils. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it, and I'll slowly go over each one of those with you.
That's
so
right.
we really appreciate you guys coming back, and
Yep.
if you're new, we're really glad to have you guys here. So
be sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us out, and you'll be notified when we release a new video. So
yes, so
we appreciate it.
and next week we'll be doing just regular type items that you can sell and make money, that you can keep up all year long, that aren't seasonal.
Right.
So we look forward to seeing you again.
We do. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye.